Zoom and share my screen. Before we share the screen, do some quick intros. Let's have folks on the Zoom introduce themselves first. If you want to pop your camera on, you can. If you don't, just say hello or put something in text. Either way is fine. Hi, Millie.
Hi, I'm Millie, and I don't know how my webcam works anymore.
Nice. A, B, O, C, yes, you put your camera on whenever. Hey, Alfred.
Oh, hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi. I'm going to turn it off in a minute, but just wanted to say hi.
Hello. Only one successfully taking advantage of the nice weather right now. Awesome. In the room, hi, everyone. I'm Barry.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Brian.
Kevin. Matthew. Misty.
Barry.
Corey.
Hey, wait, we didn't. Corey.
Hi.
There we go. Excellent. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. And we will keep an ear out for the door in case people show up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Throughout this, let's see, I'm going to pull the chat up just so I can see that too. Throughout today, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to just like pop your camera on and or speak up if you're on the Zoom, or just raise your hand and or speak up if you're here. If you have questions, happy to do questions in the moment. We also have some time at the end specifically for Q&A. And also feel free to put stuff in the chat if that's easier for you to express yourself. They open this up. All right, can someone confirm that they can see the screen? Should have a big red slide up.
Yep, all good.
Cool, awesome. Thanks. The people in the room can see the slide too. We do have a TV here, which is nice. Great. So what are we going to cover? Get my cursor to the right place. There it is. Today, we'll just do an intro, a welcome, review our core values and mission, and then kind of split this up into updates from what's happened so far this year, and then what's coming up for the second half of the year. Briefly talk about volunteer opportunities, specifically opened up for Q&A, and then again in person, we'll do some jamming if folks want. So let's get to it. Just a reminder of what our mission is, because it's not something that just gets buried on a website. If anybody is in the room and wants to come closer to the TV, that's fine. I'll probably read the stuff on the slides. I know it's a little far away. So our mission is to steward a community of artists committed to growth, collaboration, joy, and justice in Baltimore and around the world through improvisational theater. I like how Corey put it on the website. It's a little bit more pithy to say spreading joy through improv in Baltimore. It's almost like you work in creative direction, something like that. I think it's really important just to remind ourselves, what we're doing all this for. Again, our motto is community first. It's in our mission. It's meant to be a reflection of the fact that improv is a team activity, and everything we try and do is bringing people towards working together to do cool things with improv. And there are a lot of cool things you can do with improv. That's underpinned by our 4 core values of transparency, safety, community, and action. We hope things like this are an example of those things. We want to make sure that people feel like they have a place to have their voice heard, people have a place to hear information about what we're doing, and that's not just talk, right? We actually do make changes or make adjustments or try things, rather than just wait. I think it's best if we try and experiment in the spirit of improv, and of course, doing that in a safe way for everyone. So let's talk about some updates from the first half of the year. I kept doing 1H on the slides, and everyone told me that wasn't commonly used parlance. So January to June, and I'll start with programming.
Yeah.
First half of the year, 1H.
This is Brian. I'm gonna take over this. So we finally actually the end of last year, we decided to align our seasons with the calendar year. When we originally started, we kicked off in November and did our 3-month seasons, and it confused, flummoxed, and frustrated most everyone. So we did a short 2-month season last November, December, and kicked off with season 13 in January. So that's really good, and it is benefiting in a lot of ways. Our audiences grew, and because of that, we upped our performer pay. For those who don't know, we do pay all our performers. It's $45 for a set, generally a 30-minute set. And the numbers just keep going up with season 14 and 15, and we're really excited about season 16, which we'll talk about later. We've hit the 250 mark for teams and shows. That's online and in person combined. So we are really excited about the continued growth. And then the season 16 submissions, we got even more new projects, which we're very excited about.
Yeah.
Our two big things for the first half of the year were first Friday is at Sky Stage in Frederick. So Sky Stage is an outdoor venue in Frederick, Maryland. It's a very cool abandoned building that the Frederick Arts Council runs and programs throughout the warmer months of the year. We did a few shows last year just as guests, but when they contacted us this year, Barry immediately jumped on and was like, we can program it if you want us to. So it started in May and we'll go through October. We're doing first Friday shows. We're having a variety of teams, both in Baltimore and Frederick. Our next one is this weekend. And it's just such a very cool place to perform. And we had a great Pride show there, which was part of our month-long Pride celebration. We had that show. We kind of injected Pride in just other shows with Forevermore's performance and some other things. We had some special jams, some special workshops, and finished off with 4 shows at Baltimore Corner Theater over the weekend. We had stand-ups at every show, we had improv at every show, and then we had either storytellers or drag as the inspiration for the Armandos at the end of the night. And it was a really, really fun weekend. A lot of new faces seeing us, which is always great. And as you can see here, if you look at the chart, the shows are growing. Online, you'd think it would drop off, but it's staying very steady. And our audiences have been great. Went down a little bit for the average, but also we're still getting good numbers. Especially Blue Room and Charm City Meatworks. They kind of tend to be our flagship places. And then you see the performer payments, and we're close to breaking even on it, which is obviously a goal. But the main goal is to make sure money gets in the hands of the people. So the more friends you convince to come to shows, and the more shows you come to when you're not performing, the more money that we can get to performers, because it will go up again if we keep getting bigger. Yep. And here's some pictures.
Look at that. It's
Three
proof. We
events.
really did it.
We have Old Major up at the top left, which is a very cool place in Pigtown. A Little Room show with Hannah and Ralphus in the bottom left. And then Block Party on the right, which is the second Friday of every month at Blackwater House downtown. And it's just been, steady, great crowds every time. We had a Block Party show on one of the nights when it was supposed to just be torrential. And we
Yeah.
probably had 30 people.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Education stuff. Do you want to talk some of this? I can talk some of this, the numbers part first, but if you want to add anything. So the first really exciting thing is thanks to a Maryland State Arts Council professional development grant, we've been able to bring now 27 instructors through our inclusion and improv training, which we have sourced from a wonderful group in the UK called Impromiscuous. It's an 8-week training course that covers everything from basic concepts of how to have fair improv classes to more difficult things like gender representation, race representation in improv, trauma-informed practices. And we now have like a really full set of people who have gone through that training, which is great because that's our prerequisite for being able to run workshops, do applied improv things, or teach our core classes. And we have more of those happening now. So we need more teachers, which is great. And then thanks to another grant from the Maryland State Arts Council, we've been able to run 16 free intro to improv workshops for 101 students in 10 different neighborhoods this year, which is really exciting. A big part of what we're trying to do with that is make improv more accessible, both in its location and in the cost barrier. And then we've also run 8 workshops from visiting instructors from everywhere from New York to LA, and expanded our core curriculum, added musical improv and sketch comedy classes, and have grown the student body to 80 students and more. So very exciting.
One good thing to add, that several of those students came from those free workshops.
Yeah.
So we had a handful of instances where someone took a free workshop and went on and took a class, and that's the goal, to give people an opportunity to feel like they can try it for free and see if they like it, and then hopefully move.
Cool. And there's pictures from that as well. On the left-hand side, intro workshops, and I think somebody on the Zoom is in that one, Alfred, and as well as intro workshop here at Homewood Friends, and then some of our recent student showcases at the Creative Alliance. I think Alfred's making an appearance again.
The bottom one is our second level 2 group who just had their class shows Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday.
We didn't pick those pictures just for you. Speaking of grants, I kind of walked through those already, but one of the things we're really working on, and we'll talk about it in the second half, is the plans to build out a more repeatable grant application process. We have a channel in Slack for that. We have been pretty successful in the grants we've applied to so far. We won, after a couple attempts, the creativity grant from MSAC, which funded the intro workshops. We got accepted to a local accelerator program, which gave us some money. We have the professional development grant, and we have not been rejected from anything yet, but there are a couple that are pending, one from the Bank of America Foundation, and one where we're an add-on to the Federal Hill Main Street Project Restore Grant, which is a really large program through the Maryland Housing Authority that allocates about $2 million to various Main Street and Arts District organizations for rehabbing previously vacant buildings for various purposes. And so, to be perfectly honest, there's a chance that grant goes through and we don't end up using it, because it would only be something we could use if we were going to move into a space in Federal Hills specifically. So it'd have to be a fit. We'd have to also feel like we were ready to be in that space after the grant now, and that's obviously not a given, but it's cool to be that they were excited to include us in that application. It helps them, it helps us if it goes through. We'll talk more about what we're going to do with grants later on. Talk about the website, Corey?
Yeah, so at the end of March, after a long discussion,
Just scoot your chair.
it's okay, Barry. They don't need to see.
They do need to see you.
Hi,
We're all human beings here.
at the end of March, we released a brand new version of our website. The idea was to have it serve the community with regards to both us as an organization and everyone as improvisers. So every team that does the show with us, either online or in person, they get a Highwire webpage. It's built with search engine optimization in mind. We want your links. And we would also like if you link back to us, but you don't have to. And all this is to start to create a network of interconnected profiles so that we can start becoming a stronger community together. Optionally as well, if you want, you can submit your own bio and all of your links. And you can link your personal bio page to your team page so that we start to create this web of improvisers and shows and things like that in order to just grow everyone's reach. We also make it easy to learn about how Highwire works and functions. All of our documentation is on there. All of our class structure is going to be on there pretty soon. We really wanted to make it a thing that serves all of the different audiences that we have. Our actual people who come to watch our, thank you. We wanted to show off, we wanted to serve people who wanted to come see shows, people who wanted to learn improv, people who are doing improv. And I think we're there. Barry, back to you.
We're moving. With all that work, we were also able to implement Google Analytics, and through some of the grant money from the program through CCBC, we also were able to get a consultant to help us set up Google Ads. So we now have search engine ads for various things, including, it's like fun things to do in Baltimore, but also directly to our applied improv pages, which was great because we actually had someone click on one of those ads, go to the applied improv page and buy a $5,000 workshop from us. So it was very much worth the $500 we spent on the consultant, which is, good, because then they feel comfortable giving us more money in the future, which is awesome.
And all that happened within the matter of
Like
like
a
not
couple,
even,
couple
like,
days.
yeah, like not even a week. Too.
So do not expect a $5,000 sale every 3 days, but it's still nice to see that. And again, it kind of just goes to having an infrastructure in place to be really effective in getting our name out there. Okay, yes, BOC. Well, it's good. Good. Why don't you, BOC? Why don't you talk about the Rust Belt tour since you're here, and now since your bar is $5,000.
Yes, for the company, not for myself. So this, I want to thank obviously Highwire and specifically Barry. This was a nutty idea that I had, and so I thought it would take years to come together, and it's come together in less than a year. So of like 150 different festivals I've been to over the years, and with my work with Camp Improv Utopia, meeting improvisers from all around the country and all around the world, the number one thing I kept hearing all the time is that we would love to bring someone like you in. We'd love to bring someone like Susan Messing or whoever else. But we're a very small community. We don't have a lot of performers on that. And I just thought, well, there has to be a yes and way to solve this. And so what I did is I sort of based it off the idea of the punk rock movement in the late 70s, early 80s, specifically Black Flag and SST Records out of California, where there were no punk rock clubs in America. In the same way that not too long ago, there weren't that many improv theaters in America. We're still a very young art form in that sense. And so they just sort of blazed this path that they would just go anywhere and play anywhere who would have them. And then slowly but surely, they built up a circuit that the Green Days and the Blink 182s of the world could follow after them. And so the idea that I had was, the number one thing that is the hurdle for these communities is the financial cost of travel and lodging. And so I thought if we could just get anywhere between 4 and 7 theaters together to split the cost of travel, which would bring that financial burden way down, so you're not paying a $500 to $700 ticket for one weekend for your theater for one coach. You're splitting that cost amongst several other theaters. And then it was just mostly like, because I'm not a Four Seasons type of guy to begin with. So my thing was like, if there's a spare bedroom or if someone has an Airbnb, I stayed in David Lustig's fantastic Airbnb in exchange for taking the free class, or put me up in a hotel on points if they have it. Get it, if they want to take the class for free in exchange for driving me 3 hours to the next place, we'll do that. Anything that isn't a couch, because I'm in my 40s and that would kill me. And a lot of people responded very well. And the first thing we did was the Rust Belt tour, which I reached out to 41 theaters between Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Buffalo, New York. And I just said, here's the idea. All I need is a one-way ticket from LA to where I start and a one-way ticket back to LA from wherever I end. And with the help of Highwire and Barry, specifically, we were able to, those first couple of tours, the Northeast and the Midwest leg, we were able to bring the per theater cost of just traveling and lodging down to $180 per, about $180, which is a massive savings. For us, that's also good, is because, able to get Highwire's name out there to let them know that we are doing these kind of things, that we are staying to our mission of, community and action, specifically the idea that, in Baltimore and in the larger world, that also allows us to sort of stay on our mission of our values. Of my hope, my hope was always, and I think that we're doing that now, is with Highwire and the work that Corey's done on the website and everything else, where it gives people tangible. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in the entertainment business, and the first thing they always say is nobody wants to be the first money in when it comes time to financing a movie. But if you prove that other people have done it and it works, then more people will be like it. And the hope is that we can connect all these theaters, especially ones that have been struggling coming out of the pandemic, prove to them that it's something that can be done, that they can bring bigger and better names than me to their communities to be able to teach, that those people will be more likely to say yes to a kind of to these like mini tours, but also to make it more available to marginalized people, people of color, women of color, indigenous, you name it, making it so that these theaters will be more likely to take a chance on people who are approaching the work different, who have new experimental ideas and normally wouldn't get the opportunities that I am afforded through, you know, white privilege, being around longer, being lucky enough to get the training that I did in the places that I've lived. And so we're in the middle of the Northwest Classage right now. I just came back from Improvaganza in Edmonton and Orcas Island, Washington, which is a town of 4,400 people. And then this month, I'll also be going to San Francisco, Fremont, and Sacramento. I'm going to Denver in August. I'm going to the UK in October. I'll probably be going back to Denver for the entire month. And now Barry and I are just starting to put together the steps to try and do a December and January tour through the Southeast, which will, because I have family in Tennessee and North Carolina and South Carolina, and of course, my Highwire family in Maryland there, it will make it even more cost effective because I will have places to stay during the holiday season where we don't have to spend all the money to send me back to Los Angeles. And the hope is that Europe in May and June of next year, April, May, June of next year, where there's a couple of bank holidays there, which is the European version of like 4th of July for us. It's just holidays that they're normally, everything is closed and it's easier for travel. It's easier for people to go to workshops. That'll probably be on the next part of the agenda, and just keep making people aware that this is something Highwire not only is doing for the community, but and for myself, but also that this is something that we can do for your theater and for your teachers, and hopefully, knock on wood, set up a long-lasting touring circuit through word of mouth and good faith business practices between all these improv theaters. And then a high tide raises all ships. More training, more excitement, more special engagements means more students, more interest, more passion in all the communities. And thus far, it's been very, very successful beyond my wildest dreams. And a lot of that I don't believe I could do on my own without Highwire. And yes, and here's me in Philadelphia in the top left. It's some of you may recognize that handsome gentleman next to me in the middle photo in Baltimore. Edmonton, Alberta. That's the Rapid Fire Theater. That's part of the Improvaganza. That's their less than 2-year-old new brick and mortar space. Bottom left is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. There, the Hit, and then of course the great people on the bottom right there in Ferndale, Michigan, aka Detroit. Go Comedy. I feel fairly strongly that we're going to end out the end of 2024 and go to 2025 with a lot of people. The goal is to have a lot of people reaching out to us at Highwire and saying, how did you do this? How can we do this? And then we got them. And then again, high tide raises all ships. And the last thing I'll say is that I truly believe that the future of not only the improv business, but all business is customer service. Everyone bitches about everyone hates a particular airline. Everyone hates a particular cell phone provider. You know, there's no fourth world for people to make cheaper and cheaper things. A lot of people are going to, I think in the next few years, start turning to who provides customer service, who can be trusted, who provides the best bang for their buck. And I think Highwire is doing a great job of it. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get early and get on the board. I think we're doing a good job of that. That's all I got for that part.
Awesome. Thanks, PSC.
Thank you, gentlemen.
First applause break in the room.
What can you do? And now here's the second one, because Baltimore, holy shit.
Speaking of trying to do new things, very excited. Misty, who's here, and Katie, who can't be here because she's doing a water ballet, because why not? Sure. Why not do multiple amazing art forms? We launched the first comedy history tour on a water taxi here in Baltimore. called Baltimore Holy Shit. It's modeled off of some lessons we got from folks in Savannah. We met at the Improv Leadership Summit last year. They run a extraordinarily successful trolley tour called Savannah for Morons. We went a little bit stronger with the name and a little less Google friendly maybe, but maybe a little bit more word of mouth friendly. They do 10 trolleys a week, 50 people, $50 a ticket in Savannah all year round. And so basically, so it's a big business for them. We hope to make this similar and have a nice way to reach people who maybe aren't familiar with improv also, but also do some really, really fun, cool things. We got 3 more scheduled this year already. And the first one went great. It's been awesome. Yeah. Oh, yes. There we go. Now we've set a precedent that there has to be golf clapping. Some brief stats and then we'll get into the second half. Yeah, I'll send these out so you don't have to like memorize them. But the short, I used to just say the numbers go up. And that's been kind of the story of everything, is that the numbers kind of have been going up in a modest way. There's been no like viral moment that Highwire has had where suddenly we've reached 10,000 people more than last week. The big thing though is that's been really successful has been the email list growth. And that's been coming from the tabling events we've been doing, getting people through Eventbrite, especially through a lot of the new free workshops and student showcases. We've basically doubled our email list in a year, which is awesome. And it makes a big difference. And it's a big reason why we're getting more people coming to shows, we're getting more people coming to classes.
And we have a pretty good open rate.
Yeah.
So, we also are now on TikTok. I'm occasionally doing TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, find us. Let's try and double that.
Yeah.
Tonight? No.
Yeah. That'll move fast once we start using it. And then I'll do a brief overview of the financials. So this is our year to date so far. Income of about 45,000, expenses of about 40,000. The kind of biggest sources of money that we bring in, still number 1 is donations, followed by applied improv, show tickets, our core classes, grants and workshops. And then on the expenses side, one of the things that's really exciting is like almost 70% of our money that goes to artists. So 22,000 to instructors and 5,000 performer payments. That's actually a little understated because of a weird thing with Venmo, because we do our performer payments via Venmo. So it's actually been about 6,000 this year because we'll get a ticket in through Venmo that won't ever make it to our bank account, but then it'll get sent out to a performer. So it's a little understated in here. I need to think about how we can get the accounting from Venmo in there a little bit better. And then training, merch and insurance are the other top categories. There's a bunch of like, we got $1.50 in bank insurance that I did not list here. I think it's neat to compare that to, this is all of last year. So we've already, in just the first 6 months of the year, brought in more money and spent more money than last year, but the net income is also positive. So growing really, really strongly. We saw about a 90% growth in revenue 2022 to 2023. I think we'll be over 100% growth this year, which is really awesome. Puts us in a good place to continue adding programs and adding support. There's a couple of graphs in here. I won't spend too much time on these. It's impossible to read on the screen, but you can see kind of a diagram of where the money comes in, where the money goes out. You can also see kind of the various categories of income, the categories of expenses. We'll put these on a blog post for everybody to get access to. So now what's next? July to December, 2H24.
Great.
3Q and 4Q 2024. One thing that we did recently is we had a leadership meeting where we talked about what our strategic areas of effort are for the board members themselves. So obviously we're running all the existing programs. We're going to try and grow those existing programs, but we also wanted to bring some focus to the next 6 months about what the board members are going to work towards in terms of building new things. We're going to talk about a few of these items, but not all of them tonight, just because we've made more progress on some than others so far, since we only had this meeting a couple weeks ago. But just to give you a sense of where our head is at, these big things that we want to work on are largely around revenue processes, and the overall kind of safety value. So on the revenue side, building a repeatable grant process, building a kind of official and public financial and development strategy. Those two kind of go hand in hand, and building some plans to scale up Baltimore Holy Shit, because we think that can be a real revenue driver for us. Evolving how we approach the artistic and education committees as things get bigger, adding more content around our instructor portal for teachers now that we have 27 of them. Building out repeatable applied improv programs, including for seniors, as one example. Building a mobile streaming package so we can do more things in this hybrid model like this. Hosting fundraising and social events, reviewing and updating our code of conduct, building an improv safety toolbox of resources for people, both performers and instructors, and building out some front of house and hosting procedures to support how we engage volunteers. It's a lot. We'll get into some details on the individual items. The first one is this financial and development strategy, which sounds like just like a made up phrase of 4 words. Like, so what do we mean by that? The big thing that we want to be able to do is have really clear narratives, marketing taglines, and categories for the work that we ask people to donate for. So when we talk to individual donors or when we go and apply for grants, we want to be able to funnel all of that work into a small number of categories and things that we can really talk about and talk about how multiple programs advance a particular goal that's related to our mission. These are draft ideas for that. We're going to engage folks who have been working on the grants and working with the board for a while. The ink is not dry on these, but examples of like making improv the most accessible, inclusive form of art connects to the program of delivering free intro workshops. And by pulling all that stuff together, we'll be able to show more clearly where the money is going, where we're spending money, and where we're asking for money. Sorry, Jen, I just saw your comment in the chat. Let me go back a slide. So Jen was asking 12 strategic priorities. If we had to rank the top 3, what would they be? I will give first a fake answer to that question, and then we can talk a little bit about a real answer. The reason that there are 12 is because we wanted each of the 6 board members to take on 1 or 2 things over the next 6 months. And so it's 12 projects. Maybe strategic projects would have been a better way to frame this slide than 12 priorities. And so they're not ranked ordered in that sense. I think when we did a workshop where everyone ranked among a larger list. I'm trying to remember what the top 3 were. I know one of them was the grant process. The safety was high in the list. Yeah. And then there was like a big mess of things that got like 2 votes. So hopefully that's a helpful answer. We can also talk more about that in the Q&A as well. If people have input to that, I think that's a good question. Events. Katie wrote the slide, but can't be here, so I will speak in her stead, which is basically just that, we're early on wanting to run more events, including fundraisers. We've never done an official fundraising event. We've been slowly doing more community events. We want the fundraisers to raise money, obviously, but still involve the community. We've tossed around some ideas like an annual gala, but more casual. That would allow it to be more community driven. But to be honest, we are in asking for input and getting feedback stage for this. We'd love to run an event this year because we've never done one before. I think it's a good muscle for us to build, but we have not put a lot of detail behind what that will look like yet. Brian, you want to talk programming?
Yeah, programming. So season 15 ended Sunday. Season 16 starts Friday. We had 4 days with nothing to do except the community meeting and everything else. We're very excited. We have 44 in-person teams, 30 online teams, and 22 in-person shows with 7 different venues. We're so excited about having more consistency with when and where we do our shows. So we pretty much see a rhythm with Old Major first Saturday, Blackwater House second Saturday, Meadworks second, Blackwater House second Friday, Meadworks second Saturday, Riverside third place, some third Fridays, Blue Room third Saturday, and then fourth Saturday is a little bit of a hodgepodge, but One Corner Theater is fitting in some of them. We're gonna have our Maryland, our Baltimore teams, Frederick and DC have consistently had some teams come down. And our friend Michelle Rodino Colasino will be coming down from State College probably. And we have Daddy Issue, the team out of Philly, coming down. And hopefully maybe some others as we look at the schedule and see some openings. But also we want to leave those openings for new projects that might come up last. Season 16 is packed. Every team who submitted got a show. We added some dates to make sure that happened. Season 17, that probably will not happen. We have consistently tried to take time off for holidays. And now that we have October, November, December, I think we can codify where we will take those times off.
Yeah.
So we're gonna probably have some, we're sorry, we can't fit you in this season. And we're working on how to make that happen. That's part of the Artistic Council evolution. It's all goes hand in hand, that we want to put together a plan so it's not just, well, I like that team. No, we're gonna make sure we have a diversity of the kinds of shows people put on, the formats, the large teams, small teams. You know, we may cut back on out-of-town teams just to make it a Baltimore only season. I thought about that as a possibility. So we're gonna try and figure out the best way to make it happen and the fairest way going forward, because the hope is, sadly, the hope is that we're not accepting everyone every season. We have to make decisions because we have so many teams happening, so many new shows. And in that line, we're also developing plans for a new program to help people create their own shows. This is something we've talked about in a number of different ways, and it kind of has come together through some board discussions, and we're calling it the Highwire Greenhouse. And this is to provide support for people to develop new shows that are beyond just someone putting together an improv team. If you're familiar with the Hideout Theater in Texas and Austin, their program is built completely on narrative improv. So they very great thematic narrative improv shows. For instance, yesterday, they put out a casting call for essentially what is improvised Groundhog Day. And that show will get like a month worth of shows to do that show over and over again. They are either casting or getting ready to launch an improvised version of The Bear. So they take these, they take other IP and find ways to turn them into improv shows. And we'd like to get that germ into people's minds. Come up with an idea of a show. Some examples of things that already exist are Improv Jeopardy, which Corey and Barry do. Robin Stegman's 1 True Pairing, which she's done both big, and she's doing with us next season, and has did Green Pandemic. No, that was a COVID show. That was a COVID show. Sorry. But we're looking for people to come up with really cool ideas that are something you have a plan, you're going to cast it, you're going to open the doors, have people audition and cast it. So during season 16, we're going to put together a submission process to have one show do this in season 17, getting 1, maybe 2 dates as we look at our available venues. And the board will work with the producer to develop the idea if we need help fleshing it out, to support auditions, to provide coaching for it. We want to build a show from the ground up that can hopefully exist for a long time, or that can be something really awesome to celebrate something just right there. You know, for that time of season, Hideout has categories of shows, and eventually, you know, maybe not everything will be narrative. I'd love to build one of their categories of shows is I'm blanking on the word right now, but basically it's specifically built for newer improvisers to be part of the cast. And we want to build these things where not everything is built around costumes. People can get the ownership that is our core of indie improv. So look for more details soon on how to be involved with this greenhouse, and hopefully we can have more than one show in the future of doing this.
Awesome. Kristen got locked out with the pizza.
Okay, the pizza's here. I'll keep talking because I've been involved a little bit in this. The education and artistic committees, like I said, we're as these things grow, we're looking for ways to do this. So we had a fundamentals class, we just graduated our second level 2, and we're launching a level 3. Our original plan was just for 2 levels and then modules of skills and forms. But the more we talked with the people who took the classes, the more they wanted a whole cohesive level 3. So we're working, that's curriculum's been written, that class is gonna be happening with Creative Alliance. But we're still looking at those skill modules, those 4 modules for advanced improvisers, people who maybe already gone through Dave's curriculum or someone else's curriculum and want to do more targeted specific things. We want to build those. We're also looking for ways to support these newer students, whether it's between class sessions or after they've done classes, so that they can, you know, have a practice group or have jams that are targeted towards them, or ways to help them build their own team. Yeah, and then the artistic committee scheduling team submissions for demand exceeding stage time, just to have a system for that. And we're going to have more people involved beyond the board. We could be asking other people to get involved. We already do with education. Artistic has mainly been through triaging the courses or submissions, and then working with the board to schedule. And we're hoping to get more people involved as we grow these programs. I'll do this too, because I wrote this one. But all that, like I said, all this is going to take more people. We really want more people to be involved. And we really want these things to eventually become paid. Right now, these are things we're looking at for volunteers, but we want to expand that thing. We want to reward people for their work, whether it's on stage or behind the scenes. That's super important to us. In that vein, we're currently looking at ways to recognize work done by volunteers beyond thank you. We do try to thank our volunteers as much as we can, but we want to give them more than just a "you've made life easier for me." Hosting shows. We're building a guide to help people who want to host, to help them execute what we're looking for in host. And people who haven't done it, we've talked about having a hosting workshop. If that interests you, let us know, just to talk about the ways to get audiences going, doing that. We also can always use a little help checking people and managing the space for shows. We're working on guidelines for this too. It's always something we can have a little bit of help with. Our online Zoom shows, we have shows Monday, Tuesday nights, Sunday afternoons. We have a small but mighty team who does these, and the more we can get some help on those, the better. Sabrina Baines, who's in our teacher education, just finished our teacher education program, up in New York. I met her in person, nobody else has. Sabrina, we met through online improv. She's doing a bunch of our Zoom shows now. It's been great to have that. But then there's anything else. If you've seen things on these slides or we've done something in the past, let us know. You know, we can't guarantee we're not going to be like, good, go do it, goodbye. And we never just do it your way. You'll be working with the board and other people, of course, but let us know, especially if it's something we haven't thought of. We just want more people to be part of this community, because that's what it's. Believe it or not.
I think we're all done talking. That's the end of the presentation. Thanks everyone for listening and for watching. And if you're in the room, I recommend getting some pizza. And if there are questions, I would love to hear them. And that would be great.
You're gonna see us more.
Yeah. He Pac-Man.
I was just trying to eat the pizza there. I have 2 quick things. Just one is that I put it in the chat, but you were out of the room and I didn't know who else is looking at laptops and saying it. But I will say that when it comes to like new forms or new shows, a lot of times performers only know what they've seen. So sometimes they don't know what the options are for them. I've seen a ton. I used to teach forms. Obviously, I've traveled a bunch and seen a bunch of different stuff. When I was booking the PAC, we had a show called the PAC Pitch, which was every Tuesday, a new form or a new show would basically do like a live audition in front of a house, and we could see how not only what their professionalism was and their passion was, but also did they market? Did they promote? Everything that ever got tagged with the pack went right to my phone, so I could see the different people that 6 weeks in advance were like hustling and hard, or people that were like the day of, or like, if anybody wants to get together and play. But also, I did that for 8 years for every Tuesday night. So, and I've got a ton of research and stuff like that. So completely gratis, for free. If anyone in the community reaches out and says, "Hey, I would love to promote a show, or I'd love to pitch you guys a show. I just don't know what to do, or what are you guys looking for? I'm kind of stumped." I am happy to have them sent my way and sort of talk to them like, "What are you looking to do? What do you like?" And all that. Like, "Oh, this reminds me of a show, 30,000 megahertz of sound that used to be a ham radio bat that was out of New York. I saw in Philadelphia at the festival one year." Like, I'm happy to do all of that. But also, we talked about this in the board meeting yesterday, but I'm happy to say it again in the larger community, to pitch out the idea that for a couple of times now, because we do so much online and so much in Highwire's history is built on online shows. And it's great to look at that slide and see how many online shows that we're still doing. The numbers keep going up, to quote Barry there. So a couple of times we've done it's not improvised theater, it's improvised television. As my background as a filmmaker, but also the editing degree, it's a different art form on the two-dimensional screen that it is on a stage. And so if there's any interest in having sort of a severely reduced cost version of that workshop for our consistent teams, our consistent players who are always signing up for our online shows, also gladly, I will gladly do that as well, because I feel like those are sort of our core and our base. And if we raise the visual aesthetics and raise the production value which all can be done for almost no to little money per person, I think that will also raise our statuses of like, if you do online improv, if you do Zoom improv, then Highwire is the place you want to do it, because look at the cool stuff that they're doing. I look at stuff that what they're doing at Moment Theater, my boy Sam in San Francisco, what they're doing in Atlanta with What a World Theater. I feel like we can do something similar to that, and I'm happy to offer a severely discounted version of that workshop to our core teams. So I'm just putting that out there in the ether, so that now that we have a larger community and not just the board, if there's interest in that, fantastic. Those are my only things.
Awesome. Thanks, Bruce.
No, thank you.
Any other questions from online or in person? Any answers?
Comments? Thoughts?
Any ampersands? None? I'll give it a minute. As always, if you do have questions, we are an email, a Slack, a Facebook,
Slack is hopping.
or an Instagram away. Slack is really picking up. I'm really pumped. I'm a big Slack fan.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Of course I am. And I take that on in all its meanings. But yeah, we're not far away. So if you have questions later, please do feel free to ask them. And if not, we'll oh yeah, there's a meet the board slide. It's us. Just because not everybody's met the board and knows necessarily who we are. This is also available on the website. Oh, thank you, Jen. This was great. Amazing insight into Highwire from someone who's a periphery community member. Loved it. Thank you. You are not on the periphery, Jen.
You said so much.
Mind meld. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna stop the recording. We'll make all the materials available on a blog post later this week and post the video, although it will mostly screen share to YouTube for anybody. So if you have questions, please ask. Otherwise, thanks and have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
That pizza, go jam. Yum, 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 pizza.